I said, voice unsteady, but she smiled, faint and fierce, before closing her eyes. That sacrifice pierced through my uncertainty like a blade. The weight of responsibility settled on my shoulders with unbearable clarity. I was not just a seeker of knowledge anymore, I was its guardian. I looked down at the map, its glow steady and unwavering, and felt a surge of resolve. "We hold the line," I called out, voice stronger now. "For Lena, for the map, for the truth." The defenders rallied, their spirits lifted by renewed determination. Moloch's voice rose in rallying cries. Marco and Jade fought with relentless grit. And even as Cross's forces pressed harder, our unity forged a bulwark against the tide. Later, as the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded to a haunting silence, I knelt beside Lena's resting place. The map lay open on the stone floor, its shifting lines now calm, as if sensing the fragile peace. I traced the intricate pathways with a trembling finger, the journey ahead more daunting than ever. Yet in that moment of sorrow and triumph, I understood that trust, once my greatest vulnerability, was now my strongest weapon. And sacrifice, though bitter, was the price of protecting the fragile balance between discovery and destruction. The dawn outside was breaking, painting the sky with hues of gold and crimson. The map shimmered in the early light, revealing new paths, new secrets, and I, Elias Mercer, stood ready to walk them, no longer alone, no longer hesitant. The endless pursuit continued, but now I carried the weight and the hope of a guardian. The battle was far from over. But as I rose, steeling myself for the trials ahead, I knew one truth would guide me. Only through trust and sacrifice could the map's power be protected from those who would wield it for ruin, and I would fight to the last breath to ensure that legacy endured. Flickering torchlight danced over the walls, revealing worn glyphs and strange symbols that had resisted interpretation until now. Elias leaned closer, his heart pounding. "Look," Malik whispered, pointing to a sequence of markings that suddenly seemed to fit together like pieces of a puzzle. "This isn't just a map, it's a safeguard, a key to controlling the map's shifting power." Elias's breath caught. For weeks, they had chased the ever-changing paths, uncovering lost cities and evading Cross's relentless pursuit. Now, this revelation promised a turning point. The map was not merely a guide, but a device with a hidden mechanism, one that could be triggered to neutralize its power temporarily, preventing anyone from exploiting it, even Cross. Meanwhile, just beyond the labyrinth's rocky walls, Lena Dawes stood sentinel. Her sharp eyes scanned the dim passages leading into their hideout, muscles coiled like springs. The distant rumble of engines and muffled voices echoed, growing louder with every passing minute. Cross's forces were closing in fast, led by the ruthless Captain Rourke, whose tactical acumen had been a constant thorn in their side. Lena's grip tightened on her rifle, ready to face whatever came. Back in his command tent, General Victor Cross received the report that unsettled his very core. The news of Elias's latest discovery was more than a setback, was a challenge to his vision of domination. His scarred face tightened, cold eyes flashing with a rare flicker of doubt. "If Mercer has found a way to disable the map's power," he muttered, "then our window is closing. We must adapt or lose everything." The usually unshakable strategist paced sharply, torn between his ambition and the reality pressing down on him. His soldiers readied for the final assault, but Cross's mind raced, reconsidering his options. For the first time, the man who believed in order through strength faced the fragile uncertainty of the unknown. As dawn crept in, Elias gathered his allies. The map's latest transformation had revealed a narrow passageway, barely visible in the fading light. Together, they moved swiftly, their footsteps muffled by centuries of dust and stone. The carvings lining the walls spoke of balance of power that could unite or destroy depending on the wielder's intent. Elias's voice was steady but urgent. "This is the moment we've been waiting for. If we can activate the mechanism here, we can buy ourselves time. Time Cross doesn't have." The first clash of battle erupted outside, distant but growing closer. Lena's signal crackled through. There comes her voice taut with tension. "They're almost here. Get ready." With a deep breath, Elias traced the final symbols, aligning them with the map's shifting lines, until a hidden compartment clicked open. Inside lay a complex device of ancient design, its purpose clear now: a control to dampen the map's shifting magic. Hands steady despite the chaos outside, Elias activated the mechanism. A low hum filled the chamber, the map's glowing paths dimming, its restless energy subdued. At that moment, the assault faltered. Cross's forces hesitated, their momentum broken. This fragile pause was their chance. Elias met Lena's eyes over the radio, hope flickering amid the dread. The turning point had arrived, but the battle was far from over. The secrets of the map were within reach, and so too was the fate of the world. "Hold fast," Elias whispered to himself. Elias Mercer stood silently at the precipice of a cragged cliff, his breath pluming in the crisp morning air. Below him, the land stretched out like a vast, restless ocean of earth and stone, its contours subtly shifting, even under the soft caress of sunlight. The battle was over. General Victor Cross and his paramilitary force had been defeated, their ambitions crushed beneath the combined resolve of Elias and his allies. Yet, as Elias gazed across the mutable terrain, a profound and uneasy truth settled within him. The fight for the map's secret was far from finished. The map itself, that enigmatic, living artifact, rested carefully unfurled on a weathered rock nearby. Its lines and symbols pulsed faintly, redrawing themselves with a rhythm as steady and mysterious as the tides. Elias's fingers hovered above the parchment, hesitating before tracing the delicate, shifting paths. Each shift told a story of ancient civilizations lost to time, of lands that rose and fell like the breath of the world itself, of secrets too powerful for any one person or nation to wield unchecked. Behind him, the soft murmur of voices drew his attention. Turning away from the cliff's edge, Elias descended the rocky slope to where a modest campfire crackled amidst a circle of worn stones. Lena Dawes sat close to the fire, her sharp eyes softened by exhaustion but still alert, scanning their surroundings with the vigilance that had saved them more times than Elias could count. Beside her, Professor Haroon Malik fumbled thoughtfully with his leather satchel, a few yellowed notes spilling onto his lap. Marco Silva leaned back against a log, his rugged face relaxed for the first time in days, while Jade Kim, ever watchful, tapped quietly on a compact device, monitoring distant signals. "We made it," Lena said quietly, her voice carrying a mixture of relief and weariness. She caught Ilias's eye and offered a small, wry smile. For now, Ilias nodded, the weight of her words settling between them. Cross is gone, but the map, it's still alive, still changing. Malik looked up, eyes gleaming with both passion and caution. That's the enigma, isn't it? To protect something so mutable, so unpredictable. We've won the battle, but the war for understanding continues. The group fell into a thoughtful silence, the fire's flames flickering against the encroaching dawn. Outside the circle of light, the world remained a place of shadows and shifting secrets. As the morning wore on, Elias retreated to his tent, the quiet sanctuary he had come to rely upon. Inside, the living map lay spread out on a makeshift table. His lantern cast a warm glow over the parchment, illuminating the intricate patterns that danced across its surface. The map's latest transformation revealed a path leading beyond the known territories, toward a place whispered about in ancient texts, the cradle of the world's origin. Elias's brow furrowed as he considered the implications. This was more than a geographical journey. It was a challenge to his very understanding of history, reality, and his own place within it. His fingers traced the newly drawn lines, feeling the hum of latent power beneath the surface. Suddenly, a distant rumble echoed faintly through the tent walls. Elias paused, listening. The sound was subtle but unmistakable, the coming of a storm, perhaps, or a reminder that even in moments of calm, the world was never still. Steeling himself, Elias rose and stepped outside. The camp was quiet, save for the crackling fire and the steady breathing of his companions. At the perimeter, Lena stood watch, her silhouette outlined against the dense thicket beyond. Her eyes gleamed in the dawn light, scanning the horizon with a warrior's alertness. He approached her slowly. "We've earned this moment, but we must not forget what lies ahead," he said softly. Lena turned to him, her expression resolute. "The map will keep shifting, so will the dangers, but together we'll face whatever comes." Elias felt a surge of gratitude and determination. The journey had tested them, or forced them to confront their deepest fears, their betrayals, their doubts. Yet through it all, a fragile bond had formed, one forged in the crucible of shared struggle and hope. As the first drops of rain began to fall, mingling with the earthy scent of the waking forest, Elias looked once more at the horizon. The world was fluid, uncertain, and endlessly shifting. But within that flux lay the promise of discovery, the enduring quest for truth that defined the human spirit. He tucked the living map carefully into his satchel, the weight of responsibility settling comfortably on his shoulders. The storm was coming, but so was the dawn, and Elias Mercer was ready. The journey was far from over. Elias Mercer stood alone, his eyes fixed on the ancient map spread out before him, its shifting lines glowing faintly in the cool morning air. The map pulsed with life, a living, breathing enigma that had become both his greatest burden and his most profound calling. He inhaled deeply, the scent of damp earth and wildflowers filling his lungs, grounding him amid the swirling tides of uncertainty that had come to define his existence. For years, the map had dictated his path, redrawing itself with each dawn, unveiling secrets both wondrous and terrifying. Today, however, Elias felt a quiet shift within himself, a settling of purpose, a resolve that tethered him firmly to the weighty responsibility before him. As the sun ascended, casting long shadows across the land, Elias carefully rolled the map and secured it within his weathered leather satchel. Each fold carried the echoes of countless footsteps, his own and those of explorers long vanished into the mists of history. He knew the map was far from finished with him. Its shifting lands held mysteries yet to be uncovered, and dangers that lurked just beyond the edge of sight. Turning from the outcrop, Elias made his way down to the camp where Lena Dawes and Professor Haroon Malik awaited. Around a crackling fire, the two were deep in quiet conversation, their faces flickering in the warm glow of the flames. Lena's sharp eyes caught his approach, and a subtle smile touched her lips. "Morning, Elias," she said, her voice steady yet carrying the faintest trace of relief. "You look like you've made some peace with it." Elias nodded, settling beside her. "I have. I think I'm ready. Ready to accept what this map means to me and to the world." Professor Malik nodded thoughtfully, his graying beard catching the firelight. "It's a rare clarity, this acceptance. Many would shy away from such a daunting responsibility. But not you," Elias replied softly. "I can't turn away now. The map chose me for a reason, and I must be its guardian, not just for myself, but for all who might be affected by its power." The night deepened around them, the air cooling as stars began to pierce the velvet sky. Their conversation drifted across memories and hopes. The quiet camaraderie, a balm against the relentless uncertainty of their journey. Elias knew the future was unwritten, the map's next transformation unpredictable, but, for the first time in a long while, a spark of hope kindled within him. Later, inside his tent, Elias unrolled the map once more under the flickering light of a lantern. His fingers traced the newly revealed paths, delicate lines shimmering and morphing with a life of their own. Outside, the wind whispered against the canvas walls, carrying the scent of impending rain, a reminder that change was constant and inevitable. He paused, his mind racing through the possibilities the map now hinted at, lands lost to time, civilizations buried beneath shifting sands, truths that could reshape the world's understanding of itself. The path ahead promised discovery and danger in equal measure. Elias closed his eyes, steeling himself for the trials yet to come. This was no longer merely a quest for knowledge, but a solemn duty to protect a power that could alter the course of history. He was ready to face whatever the map revealed next. At dawn's edge the following day, Elias stood once more at the boundary where the land itself seemed to breathe and shift. The horizon melted and reformed in waves of stone and soil, the colors of the sky bleeding into the earth in a surreal tapestry. The living map pulsed quietly in his satchel, a heartbeat that echoed his own. With a determined breath, Elias stepped forward into the unknown, the promise of new beginnings unfolding with each uncertain step. The endless pursuit of truth was far from over, it had only just begun. And as the world around him shifted and breathed, so too did the resolve within his heart, steady and unyielding, a beacon against the ever-changing tides. I sat cross-legged before the ancient map, the centerpiece of this endless pursuit, my eyes tracing the delicate, living lines that continued to shift with a slow, deliberate rhythm. The map pulsed faintly, as if breathing, and with every subtle redraw, it whispered secrets of places yet unseen and dangers yet unknown. The very air around it seemed to hum with quiet anticipation, a fragile promise of new paths and new truths waiting to be uncovered. My fingers hovered just above its surface, reluctant to break the spell. After all, we had endured narrow escapes, betrayals, the weight of knowledge gained and lives lost. This moment of calm felt almost sacred. Yet beneath the awe stirred a cautious optimism. The map was alive, yes, but so was I, and more than ever. I understood that this journey was not merely about geography or ancient civilizations. It was about the human spirit's unyielding drive to explore, to understand, and ultimately, to protect. Lena stirred beside me, her sharp eyes catching mine through the dim morning light. We shared a look, one that spoke volumes beyond words. The tension between us, forged through trials and tempered in fire, had evolved into something steadier, an unbreakable partnership born of trust and mutual respect. She shifted closer, the scent of pine and earth clinging lightly to her practical gear. "The map seems restless today," she said softly, voice threaded with that dry wit I'd come to cherish, like it's trying to tell us something new. I nodded, feeling the weight of her words. It's never truly still. always moving, always changing, just like the world it represents. The fire crackled nearby, casting flickering shadows over our faces. Around us, the wilderness hummed with life, the distant call of birds, the rustling of leaves stirred by a gentle breeze. And above, the stars faded reluctantly, making way for the day. Professor Malik's voice drifted in from the adjoining tent, a low murmur punctuated by the rustling of parchment and the faint scratch of pen on paper. He was already at work, his passion for history and myth undimmed by time or trial. I stepped inside to find him hunched over a collection of ancient texts and notes, the leather satchel at his side spilling over with centuries-old secrets. "Elias," he greeted me without looking up, eyes alight with enthusiasm. "The latest inscriptions correspond to a constellation pattern that aligns with the map's newest transformation. This could be the key to understanding the next phase of our journey." I allowed myself a small smile, grateful for Malik's relentless curiosity. "Then we must prepare." Meanwhile, far from our remote camp, Jade Kim sat alone in a dimly lit surveillance room, her face illuminated by the pale glow of multiple screens. Her fingers danced across the keyboard, monitoring satellite feeds and terrain data with unerring focus. Subtle anomalies flickered across her display, shifts in the landscape that echoed the map's own restless changes. She relayed her findings with precision, her calm vigilance a vital shield against the unseen threats closing in on us. Back at camp, the new map configuration revealed faint outlines of distant mountain ranges and hidden valleys, places untouched by modern eyes but alive with the echoes of forgotten civilizations. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, yet it beckoned irresistibly. Every line, every symbol seemed charged with meaning, a beacon calling us deeper into the mystery. I felt the familiar stirrings of awe, mixed with dread, the same potent blend that had defined this entire odyssey. The map's secrets were a double-edged sword, promising enlightenment while warning of peril. Holding its power demanded not only knowledge, but wisdom and courage. Gathering my companions, I shared the latest revelations and the new routes that unfolded before us. Lena's steady gaze anchored the group, Malik's fervor breathed life into our purpose, and Jade's watchful eye kept us grounded in the realities of the present. "The world continues to shift beneath our feet," I said, voice steady. "But so must we. We will face what lies ahead with open eyes and determined hearts. This journey is far from over." As the sun climbed higher, the map shimmered once more, its lines converging toward a horizon that promised new wonders and new dangers. The endless pursuit stretched before us, an uncharted path woven from the threads of history, ambition, and the indomitable human spirit. With that, we broke camp, stepping into the shifting dawn, ready to follow wherever the living map would lead next. The echoes of the past whispered behind us, but the promise of the future called louder still, and I, Ilias Mercer, was resolved to answer that call, no matter the cost. But as we moved forward, a question lingered in the back of my mind, heavy and unyielding. What new mysteries and dangers would the map reveal next, and how would we navigate the shifting path forward? The map's glow faded with the morning light, but its presence was eternal, live, waiting, and ever-changing. And so was our quest, an endless pursuit carved into the very fabric of the world and our souls. Inside the modest tent, Elias Mercer sat cross-legged before the ancient map, its surface alive with soft, pulsating light. The lines and symbols shifted slowly, redrawing themselves with a rhythm that matched the steady beat of Elias's own heart. Dawn was still hours away, but the map seemed to anticipate the coming light, its subtle glow growing brighter, casting flickering shadows that danced across Ilias's weathered face. For a long moment, he simply watched, mesmerized by the living cartography that had become both his compass and his curse. This was no ordinary map. It was a repository of secrets older than any written history, a testament to worlds lost and stories forgotten. Yet with that knowledge came a burden heavier than any pack he had ever carried. Elias's fingers hovered just above the map's surface, reluctant to touch, as if physical contact might unlock a floodgate of consequences too great to bear. He thought back to the countless steps that had led him here, the dusty auction where he'd discovered the map, the shifting landscapes that tested his every skill, the alliances forged and broken, the betrayals that had seared trust into scars. And now, standing at the cusp of understanding, he faced a choice that transcended geography or history. What did it mean to hold such power? To guard knowledge that could reshape nations, redraw borders, or ignite conflicts. The map was a living testament to the fluidity of the world, its landscapes, its histories, and its futures, all entwined in an endless dance. To exploit it would be to invite calamity. To hide it away could mean forsaking the chance to illuminate truths long buried. A sudden rustle at the tent's entrance drew Elias from his reverie. Lena Dawes stepped inside, her athletic frame silhouetted against the dim glow from the campfire outside. Her sharp eyes met his, unflinching yet laced with a concern that spoke louder than words. "Still awake," she said softly, pulling a worn jacket tighter around her shoulders against the night's chill. "The map doesn't sleep," Elias replied, managing a faint smile. "Nor can I," she moved closer, settling on a low crate beside him. "You know the cost of this, Elias. Not just to you, but to everyone who gets near it." He nodded, eyes returning to the map where the lines now formed intricate patterns like veins of light coursing through the parchment. "I can't pretend it's just another artifact. It's a responsibility, a burden. And if I don't guard it, someone else will. Someone who won't hesitate to use it for war or domination." Lena's gaze softened. "We all carry burdens, but guarding something this powerful, it could consume you." Elias's voice was steady. "Then I'll carry it, because if not me, then who?" Their conversation lingered in the air, a fragile thread of trust woven